For many years, mental health problems have been hidden away. They're the great shame. And we managed to do that despite the fact that they're actually very common. The stigma of mental illness has been a huge problem, and in fact, it probably contributes to making the situation worse for a lot of people. It also prevents a lot of people from seeking out effective treatment. So recently, there have been a lot of attempts to overcome the stigma, and this is a great idea. A number of celebrities have come out about their own struggles, and this has been a huge, generous, and extremely courageous thing for them to do. We want to see faces associated with depression, with obsessive compulsive disorder, with bipolar disorder, with Tourette's, on the autistic spectrum, and with schizophrenia. There's great enthusiasm for this, and there should be. But you know yourself, enthusiasm comes with a risk. It can make us impulsive. It can make an individual impulsive, and it can make a whole culture impulsive. We can cast around for a way to solve the problem and seize on something and think, this is too urgent to wait around for the research. Let's just do it. And so we do. And sometimes that works out, and sometimes not so much. When it comes to mental health stigma, there are a number of approaches, and a lot of them are helpful. I think one of the best is the one that I've mentioned, where an accomplished person comes out and says, yep, this is a part of my experience, but it didn't stop me, and it didn't make me less than human. As a matter of fact, it's part of my humanity. One of the most common approaches, though, has been to link mental illness with physical illness, and this is a reasonable idea. If someone has lupus, or Crohn's disease, or breast cancer, we don't say, ooh, you evil person, I don't want to have anything to do with you. We say, oh, that's too bad that they have to deal with that. Maybe we could get something similar going with mental health concerns. So we have a common way of saying this. Depression, for example, it's a disease like any other disease. Like lupus, or heart disease, or mumps, same deal. A disease like any other. I'm not crazy, I'm not weak, I am sick. And there have been numerous campaigns along these lines, spending millions of dollars. And sometimes when we do this, the science starts to catch up. We have this idea. If we can get people to believe that mental illness is like any other sort of illness, the stigma will be less. Fine. So let's test it. We'll look at the degree to which people believe that statement to be true, and then get them to rate various markers of stigma. Do you want this person to be your friend? Would you hire this person? Would you date this person? Do you want them as a neighbor? How dangerous do you think this person is? Well, it's hard to claim that all the answers are in. There aren't many of these studies, but the research that does exist isn't that hopeful. Mostly, it seems that the more people equate mental illness with other illness, the worse they think about the people who suffer from it. They don't want to hire them as much, they're learier about having them as neighbors, and the more dangerous they think they are. So we have an odd problem. We may have just spent millions of dollars on anti-stigma campaigns that made the stigma of mental health concerns worse, not better. In a sense, that's not a surprise to me. I could never understand the logic. Think about it. We want to erase the boundaries between people who don't have mental illness and those who do. So here's how we're going to do it. We'll draw a line in the sand. All of us on this side of the line are in one category. We are well people. We're healthy. And on the other side of that line, those people are different from us. Those are the sick people. And the result of making that distinction will be to draw us together and erase the lines that divide us. Really? Listen, if it works, I'm on board. I don't care if the logic makes no sense. People suffer from the stigma of mental health concerns, and that is not helpful. It imposes barriers to treatment, it keeps people in the closet about their concerns, it increases the stress on people who don't need it, and it contributes to myths and misconceptions in everyone else. But isn't this idea true? It is an illness like any other illness? Well, this assumes that we have a really crystal clear definition of what an illness is. And mental health concerns either fit inside that box or they don't. But the closer you look at that word, illness, the fuzzier it gets. Drawing the line between illness and not illness isn't as easy or as clear as it seems. It's more of a judgment call than most of us would think. And dwelling on it, putting up bus shelter ads about it, that's only something we'd do if we had a purpose in mind. If it doesn't serve that purpose, there's no point in doing it. But what's the alternative? Well, if we want to erase the lines that divide us and embrace our common humanity, we could stop drawing new lines and instead dwell on that commonality. What do people with depression do? They sleep in beds. They go grocery shopping. What do people with schizophrenia do? They eat lunch. They work out at your gym. What do people with generalized anxiety do? They create art. They file your tax returns. They act in the movies you watch. They serve in the government. They make the music you listen to. That erases the lines. In 1973, the American Psychiatric Association removed homosexuality from the list of disorders and illnesses. This was a significant step for the acknowledgement of the rights of LGBT people. Why? Well, because calling it an illness was the stigma. Declassifying it was destigmatizing it. In mental health, for some reason, we have the opposite idea. Playing it up as an illness will reduce the stigma. But that doesn't make clear logical sense. And the research suggests it's not true anyway. What's helped the gay community? Well, having a bunch of people in all different fields and areas of endeavor, from politics to acting to psychology, say, "Here I am." Not so weird. In fact, considerable research suggests that simply meeting and talking with a gay person, or having one in your family or in your life, reduces negative attitudes. Familiarity erases lines. That seems to be what helps, and that's probably done more for mental health issues as well. It's a good idea to test that, but it seems to be the case. Let's try to reduce stigma, not increase it. Mental distress. It is what it is. It's really common. It's not like anything else. It's like us. You can get How to Be Miserable from your local bookseller or from Amazon. The link's below.